All right, so let's quickly go over the limitations when you're exporting stuff out of NetDocs. I mean, again, I don't think a lot of this is a big deal. I just want to explain to kind of clear up any confusion. So, and really, these limitations are Windows limitations. So you're using NetDocs that doesn't have any of these limitations. When we export stuff out, we're exporting it back to Windows, and Windows has some limitations. So, issue one, you cannot have in NetDocs, in NetDocs, you can have documents with the exact same name, okay? In Windows, you cannot have in the same folder documents with the exact same name. So the way that we get around that is when we export the documents out, right here, we're putting in the doc ID and the version right there, okay? So that will basically not cause that issue. If you're not worried about it, if you're like, we don't have that, we don't have to put the NetDocs ID and version number on the back end of things. So the way we take care of it is we put that NetDocs ID because they're all unique and then it doesn't cause an issue. But when we export out, we either can put that ID in there or not. If we don't put the ID in there and there's two documents with the same name, you're going to have one document. I'm not sure which one it'll be. It'll be one of them. Again, I do believe that this is really not that much of an issue at all. And if you have a Word document and a PDF with the exact same name, there's no issues at all. All right. Second one, file path issues. Okay, so when we did this export here, okay, this is the client ID, this is the matter ID, and then this was the doc type ID, and then here are all the documents. So what firms want, and I use this example here, is, this would be an export, client ID, matter ID, and then the doc type. Now the client ID, in this example here is the Bluth company, and the matter, the client description is the Bluth company. The matter description is the LLC formation. Okay? Why don't we export it out like this? Because Windows has folder path limits that NetDocs doesn't have. I mean, a name of a document or folder in NetDocs can be 1,000 characters long, as well as the name of the document. You cannot swing that in Windows. So we're going to export everything out with the client ID, the matter ID, and then the doc type. Now, I'm talking about 80% of law firms are set up with client, matter, doc type. Some of them don't use client IDs or matter IDs, so that's irrelevant. If you're not using them, you can just ignore this. Once we export it out and we get it somewhere, there are multiple tools we can use to rename everything to the proper thing, or you can rename them, or we can leave them how they are. But when we're exporting documents out and copying them, we need to go with the ID so we do not have any of these file path issues. Now, the other thing I will say is, when we do this as well, one of the other reasons we'll come in here, and you might see this, is that emails cause issues. So if you saved an email into NetDocs, sometimes what NetDocs is doing is taking the subject and making it the email. Some of the subjects are ridiculously long. In that case, we just have to export out with the doc ID and nothing else. And then you can rename it or something like that. And we're going to give you, when we do an export, a list of everything. So you will know, okay, these is everything that was exported, and you'll get a metadata file explaining all of that. I don't want you to get worried here. Everything that I'm talking about is probably like 5% of the issues. So 95% of the stuff's coming out 5% will have issues. And it's also like, if I probably didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't notice it on a lot of these things. But I just want to be upfront and explain, hey, when we export out of NetDocs, the only issues we have are the Windows folder limitations, and we've got ways of getting around it, and really this is how we get around it.